Hey everyone, welcome to another stream of me. ネイティブが知財翻訳する配信。Today we're just going to look at another patent. There's a few things I might look up, just not relevant to the patent I'm going to look at. There's been a few things that have come up at work that I think it would be interesting just to look up together. I do work. I work in-house as an in-house translator. And when you're working at in-house, you do have people that you can ask. But there's not always a clear answer in patent translation. And one of the things that popped up at work recently was a Japanese phrase. I'll just put it in here. によって実現する. This was a phrase that came up in work that I wasn't sure how to translate. So specifically, maybe not too specifically, it was just a device, a display device, and actually so the display device was here, and here was a touch panel. So this kind of phrase came up, and I was wondering whether this could be translated as include. I wanted to use include because as a translator, our first inclination is to try to use include. We want a clear, it's a thing-to-thing relationship. We don't want to delve into functional claiming. We want, if we can, to be able to say A includes B. So I was wondering, with this kind of expression, can this be translated using include? I mean, most people when they look at this would probably just translate it just literally as realized by. But just my thoughts, my spider sense just said that this English would never be used by a native in a patent. So first, instead of translating this patent, I thought maybe we could just have a look together to see if we can find a good translation for this. Now, when I translate, I'll always have this website open, the Japanese patent office website. It's amazing. I didn't use it for the longest time. I used to use eSpaceNet, the European website. But recently this is I don't know, it's been upgraded and it's really good. And the main reason this is the only website I use now is, now first let's see how many hits we get for this. We get oh my god, that is a lot. Alright, so immediately we see this phrase is used a lot. Let's see if we can. Let's see if a big company like Apple uses this phrase in their translations. If this appears, this would be great. And it does appear. Alright, so we'll get looking into that soon. But first, back to why this website is amazing. The Japanese Patent Office website is amazing, and The only website you need is because of this button right here, this OPD. If you're in chat, please let me know what OPD stands for. I'm not sure. Other patent directory or... But anyway, so on any patent that you can find in your search, if you push this OPD button, you can see the family, the patent family, and the different countries where it's been filed. So again, say we wanted to look at this patent. This is the patent filed in the Japanese office. We just click on this button and we can go to the same patent that was filed in America. Amazing, right? So because of that button, the OPD button, it's basically the only website we need when looking at patents. Now back to our objective here. We're just trying to see what is the recommended, what is the standard translation for this. Now as I said before, it's a thing, and this is a thing. So because they're two things, I want the relationship to be just a simple include relationship. I don't want to get fancy by saying realized by, because honestly, I don't know what realized by means. What I don't want to use realized by because it doesn't mean include, and it doesn't mean like configured by. I'm not sure what this would mean in terms of how it would be understood. So we want to find a nice, safe, or the most common translation for this. All right, so we have our, where'd it go? All right, here it is. So we have our Japanese. Let's find it in the Japanese one first. Now, it's always good if you can find it in the claims, but we'll just search for the specification at the moment. So in this Japanese specification at this point, they use this. It's slightly different. So it's not a thing and a thing. We want to find an example where it's a thing, によって実現する thing. We want those two elements. So we can't actually use this. So we're going to have to go to the next one. And have a look in this one. See if we can find similar expression. Okay, so this is the process によって実現することできる. So this is talking about the function. So the function of this can be realized by this processor. So it's not the same. In this example, we've got function, process によって実現する function, 機能. So it's not a thing-thing relationship. It's a function-thing relationship. And again, back to our example. In the example that I had at work, it was a thing. It was a touch panel, and it was like a display device. So at this point, I'm kind of happy. My spider sense seems to be right. It seems to be that if this was a function, then this kind of expression can be used. But when this is a thing, I don't think this kind of expression is correct. But let's, again, keep looking. So can't find anything good in that. Let's have a look in here. Now I am looking at, I just wanted to find patents from a native English company. So I'm using patents from Apple, but it doesn't seem to be coming up. Not the kind of examples that I want to find. Just keep looking a bit longer. And actually, if any of you in the chat, if you know of a better way of searching? Please let us know, because patent searching is a skill. Being able to find information amongst patents is one of the most important skills, I want to say. It's not something easily taught, and it's something we often have to get good at ourselves. Right, I'm going to give up on that. And if I put this down to just in the claims, let's see if I can get. Oh, good. Okay, so I got under the threshold. So now it's the niot digitsugun suru, that expression, in their claims only. So let's just check whether they have a translation already available. Okay, good, so this one does. So let's have a look at this one and see where this expression is found. Alright, okay, so again, it's not a thing-to-thing relationship. So let's keep looking. Kind of want to find katakana because it'll mean it definitely has a. It'll definitely be from a company that's not from Japan, and so it will have a translation. Right, we go to the claims. See if we can find. Ooh, okay, that's just offset. Yeah, so that's again not a thing-to-thing relationship. So in all the examples we found so far, this expression has been used for the situation where it's not a thing and a thing. They've been very different. They've been very different contexts. So I'm starting to think that this example here, touch panel, niot digitsugun suru, display sochi. I'll put display. I'll just put sochi. I'm beginning to think that this is maybe not appropriate Japanese, but if it is appropriate Japanese, we should still just use include for it. It's a sochi that includes a touch panel. Now, you may think that using include is wrong because the nuance found here is that the touch panel kind of is the sochi, is the device. It's not like this parent-child relationship. But the good thing about include is that include and comprise are like magic words. They also include that meaning of not just this hierarchy of like a parent-to-child relationship. Include can mean that A equals B. That literally the B is the A. Even in this situation, you can use include, it'll mean that. So include is kind of like a silver bullet, we say. It's a silver bullet. Use include, you use comprise, then, oh, thanks for the follow, Rapu. Wow, I got a follow during my Chizai Honyaku stream, very happy. It's kind of a new endeavor, so just talking about this phrase here. Let us know if you've ever seen it. I just saw it in work recently and just cued my interest. So this is a little 1-point lesson for the day. Let's get to translating. It'll just be a short stream today. I like to keep these to about 30 minutes. But please follow along and any comments, I'd love to get a conversation going. So this is the painting we're looking at today. So some kind of structure that presumably goes lower side or underneath the vehicle. Okay, so nothing difficult there, I'll skip that. And instead of going through the background art, let's just go to the first embodiment. That's where the fun starts. Actually, I lie. I do enjoy translating background art. Background art it's actually an area where you can kind of show your skills as a translator. And it does give, it is the first impression. The background art is kind of the first thing that examiners read. If it gives a nice first impression, they'll kind of, this is kind of just my opinion, but if you give a good first impression, it'll, give you some leeway in the rest of the specification. All right, so what are we looking at? Let's just quickly look at the patent that I pulled up and have a look at the drawings. So we have the vehicle here. It's going to get any bigger, it is. I don't know, I just like to have the drawings always up. I'll always have the drawings next to me when I'm translating. I'm sure everyone does. Okay, just got a general idea of what we're looking at. Alright, so this is good. At the beginning of a specification, I love it when you have these definitions. In English specifications, you'll have like a page. You'll have definitions at the beginning, and that's how patent should be done. There's not enough of this in Japanese patents. Just at the beginning of the specification, just defining things, defining terms. This is great. All right, so note that. Okay, just for the convenience of let's change that to facilitate description. Always like using facilitate. Alright, so what do we got here? So in the drawings, let's check what they're saying here. I hate not having my term base open. Just makes me double check myself. Okay, so it's just appropriately good. Hang on, what does that mean? Okay. Not quite sure exactly what that means. Looks like it's missing something, but the crux of it is that you have this arrow up and it's defined as this direction. So we'll come back to this later, see if we can make something sensible out of it. Alright, arrow up is defined as, okay, so it's not defined, it's indicates. This arrow is indicating what direction? A lot of kanji strung together. Now this is another area which I think divides translators, how to deal with a big string of Chinese characters like this. I actually tend to keep them together, especially if in the specification it appears a lot. Like if this was to appear in a lot of areas, I would probably keep it as one horrible long word. But just from the search I did now, we can see that it doesn't. So I think we can break it up into more meaningful English. Indicates the upward direction, right, indicates upward in the vehicle vertical direction. So it indicates upward in the vehicle vertical direction. So we just translated this as vertical. And arrow FR indicates, alright, so this is the front. Kind of gives you a hint here, front, up. So if you've used upward here, do I use frontward? Is frontward a word? I'm going to go forward. I think forward's probably what it stands for. I don't think frontward is a word. Forward in the vehicle. Interesting. So I used vertical for this. What's the one word to describe this? Anyone in chat? In one word, how would you describe this? The front and back direction of the vehicle. Is there one word? I want to use one word because I used vertical. Just one word for this. The lateral, it's not lateral, lateral could be either way. The lengthwise direction. It's getting a bit far away from the source, isn't it? I might have to use front and back here, and because I'm using front and back here, I might go back and change this to the vehicle up-down direction. Not too happy with that, but I think that might be the safest choice. Vehicle front, forward, backward direction. Yeah, doesn't sound good, but I think we might have to keep it like that. And out, and an arrow out indicates outward in the vehicle width with the lateral. I tend to use lateral. Could lateral be? Could it be misinterpreted here? The vehicle width, the vehicle lateral. I think we just go with width here. Lateral direction. Alright, now you may have realized that I've used the article the in front of each of these directions. Some people will use because it's the first instance. For directions, I hate seeing here. A direction is not an element of the invention. It reads much more naturally using the there. But probably 90% of what I look at will have in the same kind of situation. Let us know what you think. Whether you think it's a preference or we should be keeping in still with the practices and use here. Let us know what you think. Now, what in the world are we going to translate this as? So it just means that appropriately illustrated as appropriate. Doesn't kind of match the context. Let's go back and have a look at the picture, see if it'll give us a hint of these arrows. They're just the arrows on the drawings. In the drawings, just make sure we get that out. So it does kind of describe all three. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Might just have to put as appropriate somewhere. Alright, just make sure that appropriate, suitably. The drawings. Oh, I did just want to put another. I did just want to put another clause in here somewhere. Note that take description. In the drawings, an arrow, and an arrow. Illustrated. Oh, I'd probably not even put it in, but I have to put something in. Don't want to miss out one of these little blocks of meaning, even if the meaning is weird. Alright. So our next definition in the description below. Alright, just check the meaning here. I'm not a Japanese dictionary. Special mention, alright. So we can understand that means. So unless you're specifically given that direction, then okay, so unless there's specific direction otherwise, this means this means this, and this means this. Alright, easy enough. The problem here is that, as you often see with Japanese patents, they're doing this. They're listing 1, 2, 3 is equivalent to A, B, C. As translators, I would just about always write it as A, C, B, sorry, 1, A, B, or 2, B, 3, C. I would just about always write it in that order. So many people just write 1, 2, 3 respectively, A, B, C, and I hate respectively. Respectively is a crutch that many people lean on. And I think we're allowed to tease out this information here. So, unless Toki, what are we going to translate Toki as first? Unless specific instruction is given. Is that too wordy? Unless is given. Otherwise, oh, this is getting way wordy. Is there a shorter way to say this? Unless we could just say specified. Specified otherwise. Up, down refers to. Where are we? Refers to up, down in the vehicle, up, down direction, front, sorry, forward, backward, front, back. I wonder if front and back is better. Forward, backward refers to forward, backward in the vehicle, forward, backward direction, and or is it inward, outward? Okay, so that's a bit different. Inward, outward. Outward refers to inward, outward in the vehicle with direction. Now I didn't translate this because, as you can see up here, this is actually describing this portion. This, you can see, doesn't need direction on it. When you're saying upward, downward, forward, backward, you're already saying. You agree, front, back? Yeah, you can see every time I type forward and backward, I always default to front and back. So we could, let's do that, indicates front word. This is where you kind of hit a little snag, because you can't just say front here. And if we say forward, the forward, front, back direction, and if we say forward here, it's going to be weird. But front doesn't make sense. And I'm not sure if frontward is a word. Indicates. See, we need to get this direction meaning out. I don't think front on its own. No, you're 100% right. Front and back does sound better. It's just this little snag here. I wanted to use front. Front doesn't work here. And I'm not sure if frontward is a word. Is frontward a word? Let's have a look. Frontward. It is a word. All right, let's use frontward. That way we can use front and back, which front and back, which I agree sounds a lot better. Yay, frontward and back. Front and back. Frontward in the front back direction. It's kind of yeah, I think we'll leave this up to preference and search forward. So again, this is lovely. You just see all these definitions coming out at the beginning of the specification. It's lovely to see in a Japanese patent. You don't see it often. All right, in this segment now, we've got a mata. Let's not translate this. If you want to make money by translating more words, you can translate this. But as a rule, I do not translate these little words here. All right, so again, we have the same phrase here. Let's just copy and paste unless specified otherwise. I've never seen this. I don't remember this Japanese. I have to remember it. It's nice. Toki. Okay, so let's get this out. So the left and right direction we're talking about. Let's just see. I'm not quite sure how to write that in English quite yet. This is my job, but I'm doing this to help others. So it's not actually my work. This document here is not my work. If I did that, I would be in big trouble because, you know, patents are, they're secrets. They're sort of not allowed to show them to other people. There's a lot of rules behind what you can and can't do. But I just found a patent online that already has a translation out there, and so I'm just going through it and showing how I would do it if it was my job. So what about you? Do you actually look at patents for your job, or are you just learning Japanese? Because, I don't know, if you're just learning Japanese, this is pretty hardcore stuff. But there are words here that you probably wouldn't find in normal Japanese documents, and it's kind of fun, like picking up these words, these sort of technical terms. That's why I love the job that I do, because you look at things that not many people look at, and you learn things that not many people know. It's kind of like a niche. All right, so back here, so it's just saying that when this direction appears in the text, I'm just not quite sure how to word that better. I just want to word that a bit better. So let's have a look at the bottom part first. So the passenger, when the passenger is in the vehicle and the vehicle is facing forward. Okay, so the left and right we're just defining the left and right as the direction that the passenger in the vehicle will look left and right when they're in the vehicle. Oh no! Oh, so Japanese. So so is one of you Japanese and one of you non-Japanese from an English-speaking background? I can imagine working together and translating. I don't know. I find the best translators actually have a lot of pride, and if you're working together with your wife, I can imagine it could get tricky. My wife speaks a bit of English, but she's not at like a translator level. I will ask her for help every now and then. Frontward, backward motion, forward, frontward, backward motion. It's like a helicopter, is it? You can say the rotationally propelled fists. Oh, so the same. Yeah, my wife's Japanese, so the same. So what ended up happening? Was it, I'll have my world, you'll have your world? Let me just get this out while I don't think we need to really translate this exactly as the source does. So we'll just say left, right in the description refers to the left, right. Do we need to put direction here? The left, right. Yeah, I'm just going to put direction here as well. The left, right direction. Left, right. In the description. In the description. Right, I'm going to change this around. Frame it first. So in the description. So we've got that reference now in the description. Left, right refers to the left, right. Oh, I kind of want to put and in the middle, but I will put the left and right direction refers to the left and right. So I am actually translating it differently from up here, and I'm not sure whether I should. With patents, it's really important to keep things similar. The left-right direction refers to the left-right direction. Okay, let's go with that. Yeah, with patents, you always got to try to keep everything very consistent. It's one of the rules that if you just do translating normally, it'll seem weird, because when we translate, we are kind of producing. We're an artist in that sense, and we don't need to be consistent. We can add flair, but in patents, consistency is king. No flair. If you can copy and paste something, if you can steal something from another patent, go for it. All right, so the left-right direction first, left-right direction of the passenger. So being a bit not quite translating faithful to the source here, but passenger, there we go. But we don't need to translate literally here. Network, how closely? So you've hit the nail on the head right there. That balance between a direct translation and something that's more natural in English. That is the hardest thing. Yeah, it is absolute hardest thing. And in patents, multiply that tenfold, because the patents, the translations that we produce, how do they say it? They say it has to have the same scope as the source. So in patents, the language it's interpreted as having this scope, this area kind of defines your invention, and you now have this invention, this boundary that protects your invention. So in translation, as you said, because you cannot directly translate the two different languages, right? But you have to have the same scope, the same meaning. You can't make the meaning a little bit broader or a little bit smaller. So yeah, it's really hard, and because it's really hard, people just default to a mirror translation, where it is just the same pieces. Just like everything in the source has to be in the translation. And that's just because the number of people that are skilled in translating, there's not a lot of people, and so people that aren't skilled end up being the ones looking at this, and if they can't understand it, then the brain just gets fried, right? So everyone kind of defaults to a more direct translation. But it's our job of natives to push that barrier. Us as natives, we need to make sure that we are translating into understandable, clear English. But honestly, Japanese, I don't know any other languages, but Japanese is probably the hardest language. Japanese is so vague, and there are so many conventions that are okay in Japanese that just produce stupid English when you translate it. You have to go non-literal sometimes. But that's the challenge, and that's why I love what I do, yeah. It's a shame you stopped. I mean, I've been doing this for more than 5 years now, and every day there's challenges, yeah. But those challenges, they're, like I said, it's part of why I enjoy the job. So here we don't need to literally translate this. It just says, the passenger, how it looks left and right. We just need to say the left-right direction of the passenger. The passenger is the reference point, right? So that's clear, simple English, and it's the same scope as this. Now we need to say the state. So when the passenger is in the vehicle and facing forward. There we go. Now, if you want another quick lesson in patent, or another reason why patent translation is hard and has lots of rules, when is a word that is frowned upon in patent translation. As you can see here, we're describing a state. We're describing that this person is sitting and facing forward, and in this state, this is our reference, we now define this as being this. But when is related to time. So even if in natural English we'll say when in the situation, in a patent, this will kind of be interpreted as at the time that the passenger is. So it has a slightly different nuance in the meanings now sort of linked together with a kind of temporal, kind of like a timeline, and that creates a really small scope. As I was talking about before, scope is everything. See, I was there. I worked in schools for a good 6 years when I first came to Japan. Yeah. See, yeah. So just reading school essays, I was a vampire. I stole Japanese from my kids more than I taught, probably. I did try to be a good teacher. I shouldn't say I shouldn't say I was a bad teacher, but learning from kids was one of the best things that I did. Yeah. They're a really good source of Japanese. You definitely, definitely, if you ever wanted to get into translation, you've got a good foundation. Yeah. Right, so there we go. We've got the definitions out of the way. Here it's just some boilerplate, just some language you'll see in every patent. All right, so we've got our first embodiment here. Embodiments are realization of the invention. Like an invention is this broad thing. It doesn't have to be broad, but you don't. An invention isn't just this one physical thing. It's how do you say it? It's almost like an idea. It's like all these pieces you can put together, but you can put them together another way, but it still has that same invention within it. Like you can configure this invention in a number of different ways, but that core notion, that core invention, it kind of goes over the boundaries of like a physical form. I don't know if that makes sense, but that physical form is an embodiment. So when we describe an invention, we'll describe it as having this embodiment and this embodiment and this embodiment. It'll have different embodiments, but the invention overall is kind of like it's an overarching kind of notion. But here we've got our embodiment, and we're going to describe the physical structure. But are you interested in like patent translating? Because, I mean, if you are, it's a great field to get into. I mean, it takes a bit of work to get started. Like I don't know, like 6 months of like training. But it's a lot of pattern-based work. So if you're good at patterns, if you're just, I don't know, smart, like you kind of do have to be intelligent. Like I don't know, it's not easy, but if you're good at pattern recognition and you work hard for 6 months, after that it becomes a lot easier, because as I said, there's a lot of patterns, and I think it's easier than a lot of other translation work, because you don't have to add that flair. You don't have to be creative, and you don't have to, translate idioms into your own idioms, and it's just pretty pattern based. Once you have those patterns in your heads, it's a lot easier than it seems like at first. So as illustrated in figure 1. So where is our figure 1? We'll just quickly jump to figure 1, see what it looks like. So we just have the underneath side of a car. And because this is in bold, we're probably going to talk about this. Oh, I am pushing on an hour though. I might just translate a little bit more. And then maybe 2 more segments already. But yeah, seriously, if you want to get into translation work or patent translation in general, please let me know. Follow me on social media. Like my company is always looking for people, and yeah, like we don't have many natives. Like honestly, the number of people that can do patent translation is so small. It's a relatively easy field to get into if you put in a bit of hard work. Yeah. All right, so the front portion of the vehicle. So this unit is disposed the front portion of the vehicle. Cool. So this is classic patent language. The new element we'll put here in front, a power unit room. Power unit room. Why would they say room and not here? Okay, so it's the same. So power unit room. So I don't think I've ever seen room spelled out in katakana like that. It's usually here or something else. They obviously really want us to use room in the English translation. Power unit room, number 12. Dun, dun, dun. All right, there we go. So it's just a space. Is disposed in our front portion of our vehicle. Actually, because this does seem to be just a space, it does sound weird to dispose something that's a space. I might switch that back actually. So in a front portion of a vehicle, a power unit room. You didn't just see me type room as UU. Power unit room is provided. I didn't need to switch that around. I can put that back. Is provided in the front portion of our vehicle 10. Good, good. Living the dream. Japanese teacher's license? Like, what does that mean? How do you get a Japanese teacher's license? You would have to go through the Japanese system and go to like university. Yeah, no, that's really amazing that you've actually pushed yourself that far to get in the system like that. That is amazing. Because like I said, I started as a teacher as well, and that's a hard path to follow. Man, congratulations. Actually, I went to university as well, trying to do the same thing to get a teacher's license. What is it? I got into university, and like because I've already been to a university back in Australia, I like joined at like the 3rd year in English literature and teaching degree, but the workload was just too much. I ended up having to stop doing the teaching classes and just ended up just getting an English literature degree from a Japanese university randomly. Qualified to teach. But does that mean like the same qualifications as a Japanese person? Because that's amazing. Wow, because I tried to do the same thing, but I couldn't. That's amazing. Oh, that's really interesting. Oh man, your kids are lucky. Your kids are very lucky to have you. That's amazing. Alright, super interested in that now, because as I said, I tried to follow that same path, but haha! Alright, let me just finish this. We might finish up for the night. Alright, so we introduced these two new elements, the big car, and then this power unit room, which is, I'm assuming it's a space. Now we're going to describe the power unit room in more detail. So it is divided, it is compartmentalized. Divided is probably a better word. So the vehicle, what does this mean? Just a quick look over here. So it's the vehicle interior. Okay. Didn't have a special meaning there. 15 years? My God. But I totally understand why, because I failed to do it. I couldn't. It took me like for me, it took like 5 years just to get the English literature degree from a Japanese university. That is dedication. That is awesome. I don't. Are there any other people like you? Like, I don't know any other people that actually did that. That is insane. That is so cool. Oh, I'm so. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm so proud of you, but yeah, totally nice talking to you. Oyasumi. Definitely try to catch on social media on Twitter. It'd be great to follow you. Room is divided from the vehicle interior. Just going to put this in brackets because I don't want to have weird English and commas saying which is not illustrated. I think we're okay just to put this in brackets. By a dash panel. Awesome. So you could put a lot of words in here. This is, I actually use, what's that word, define. When something is defined, it's this one thing, and you define this area, these two areas, by like a line down the middle. But in this area, define's a bit weird, even though it is a space. So I think just divided is fine. Divided from sounds a bit weird. Our room, even just separated from or defined. Okay, let's just stick with divided there. Divided just seems like one thing being divided into two. And that's not what I want to say. I want to say it is separated. I might just go with separated here. So yeah, let us know what you think about that word, because this word pops up a lot. I just don't like divide, because it just seems like one thing being split into two, whereas here we have two distinct elements and this thing in the middle of them. Cool. Alright, now I am pushing on an hour. It was great talking to everyone tonight. I'll try to get some more YouTube videos out, a few more educational stuff. I'll try to start editing my stuff, but so yeah, bear with me, and thank you again. Signing out. Oyasumi.